Hello everybody, today we're going to have a go at making leek and potato soup. So I have one large leek here. I will cut off all these dead bits off the top. I'll show you how to do that in a little while. I've got a tube of garlic paste, but you can use fresh garlic. It's about 1 clove of garlic. I've got 100 ml of double cream, 100 ml of semi-skimmed milk, and 2 large potatoes and a vegetable stock cube. So let's begin. So what we're going to do first is prep our leek. So these are all the sort of gone off bits that I'm going to just do a slight line across so I can just take this off. These bits here, just cut off all the bits that are sort of gone off. There we go. I'm going to snip the end off, so that's going to go as well. Let me just get a bowl for this. Put all my bits in there. Now, it gets very muddy in here in the end. We want to wash all that out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a slit going down, which means I can open this up and wash all the mud in between. So I'm going to take that over to the sink. I'm going to open it up and wash all the mud and tip it upside down so it can all wash away. So that's how we prepare a leek. So I've taken that over to the sink, I've washed it. I'm just going to cut the bits off that have gone off. Then I'm going to fully cut through and cut the end off. So here's our leek. Now this is quite a large one. I'm going to cut down again. Let's just move that one out of the way. And then I'm going to turn it round. You can slice it again if you want to. It just depends on how big of the pieces that you'd like. And then I'm just going to hold it together and I'm just going to slice it all the way down the end. So they're about this size, as you can see. So I'm going to do that with all the leek. Right, so now I have got my potatoes. So I've just washed these and then I'm going to cut these up as well. So I'm just going to cut the end off. Then I'm going to cut down. And then I'm just going to cut them into little cubes. So I'm just going to do that with the other potato. Here is my onion. So we just need half an onion. So just take that first layer of skin off. There we go. Here are all my ingredients. I have the chopped leek, the chopped potatoes, half an onion, my milk, cream, my garlic paste and my stock cube. Now you need to boil the kettle and have 600 ml of boiled water with the stock cube. You can cut the stock cube depending on the stock cube. Some of them crumble, so you can crumble it into the water. This is like quite a firm one, so I'll open it up and I'll cut it up and pop it in. And I have my large saucepan ready, so just make sure you have everything to hand. Let's begin. Gas on a medium. Put the pan on. Now we need about 5 grams of butter. So I'm just going to guess that. So it's just a big lump of butter in there. Just let that melt down. So now all the butter is melted, I'm going to put in the onion. And half of the leeks. Mix. Make sure it's all coated with that butter. Now I'm going to reduce the heat a little because we actually want that to sweat down. We don't actually want it to burn. We just want it to sort of, they say, sweat down. So it just means until it all softened but without burning. So again, you just have to be patient, turn the heat down. Now obviously I'm using gas and some electric hobs, you have better control. But if you're using an older cooker or the old-fashioned where it's a ceramic plate, you start off on a low because you don't have much control with the sort of the old-fashioned ceramic plates. So just make sure you don't have it on too high. And I think with those old-fashioned cookers it takes about probably about 4 minutes for it to sort of change heat. So just be careful if you're using those cookers. So this will take about 4 minutes. So just be patient, give it a stir now and again, make sure it's on a low heat and just let the onion and the leek sweat down. So we're waiting for the onions to go soft. So we just have to come back and give it a stir now and again. So this has been cooking for about 5 to 6 minutes. I've been coming back and giving it a stir. It's all sort of soft but it hasn't burnt, as you can see. So now I'm going to add the potatoes. Just stir those in, making sure everything's mixed in thoroughly. Then I'm just going to cook that for 5 minutes, but obviously keep an eye on it and give it a stir because the potatoes will start to stick. So we'll cook those for 5 minutes. You can see. Right, so this has been cooking for 5 minutes. I've been coming back and giving it a stir. So now, if you would like to, you can add some black pepper now. There's some black pepper. I'm going to add a squirt of garlic. So as I said, it's about 1 clove. Give that a stir. Then I'm going to add the rest of the leek. So if you remember, we used half at the beginning. So we'll just add the rest of that in. Give that a stir. Mix it all in. Then I'm going to add the stock. So I have my jug with the boiled water, and I've actually melted the stock in there. I'm going to pour that in. I'm going to turn the gas up slightly. Now at this point, what I'm doing with my spoon is I'm rubbing it against the bottom of the pan, just to remove the bits that have stuck onto the bottom. So just push your spoon right down into the pan and just give all the bottom of the pan a really good rub, just to dislodge the bits that have sort of stuck to the bottom. Little circles all the way around. Then just push all the ingredients back down off the sides. Push that all down. There we go. And we'll just let that simmer gently. So bring it up to heat and just let it simmer for about 10 minutes. Again, coming back to stir now and again. And I said in my previous videos, I've said at this point, it's best to do all your wash up your bowls and your jugs and things, so not to leave yourself too much to do at the end. So I'm just going to pop the lid on and leave that to simmer for 10 minutes. So this has been simmering for 5 minutes. I've just given it a stir, and then I'm just going to pop the lid back on and give it another 5 minutes. Right, so this has been simmering for 10 minutes now. I'm just going to pick out one of the potatoes here, and I'm going to put my knife through. And if it goes in really easily and the potato's breaking up like this one, that's when it's ready. Obviously it just depends on the potato that you've used, so you may need to give it a couple more minutes, but you can easily test by just getting out a potato and putting your knife through. If it goes in really easily and the potato is breaking up, then that's when it's ready. So we're just going to turn off the gas. I'm just going to put it onto this ring here. I've turned off the gas. Now at this point you will need a hand blender, one of these, if you can see there. If you don't worry, you don't have to do this section. You can just leave it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use the hand blender to soften half of the soup. So I'm just going to hold it in. So all I've done is I've just blended half of the soup. So half is done here and the other half I've left. I'm just going to give that a stir. But as I said, if you don't have a hand blender, don't worry, you can have it as it is. But if you do, and you'd like to blend half, then that's great. It sort of gives it a more soup consistency, if you can see there. Then I'm going to add the milk and the double cream. And stir that in really gently. if you'd like to add half or even a quarter of a teaspoon of white pepper, you can do so. That's entirely up to you. Now, given that gentle stir, I'm going to put that back on the heat now. I'm going to turn the gas on a really, really low heat, and just let that come up to the boil and let that simmer for about 3 minutes when it comes back up to heat. So it's been simmering for 3 minutes. Now it's really important when you're making any thick sauces or different soups that you have it on a gentle heat, because it will sometimes, when you put the spoon into stir, it will splat back up at you. So you need to be really careful. It's no good having it really vigorously simmering, because once you put the spoon in, you try and stir, it just splats up and it can end up on your skin. And that's what we don't want, to try and avoid burns. So just make sure you just got it on a low heat to simmer. So that is all done. Now, if you wanted a thicker consistency, just put less cream and milk in. It just depends on the sizes of the potatoes and how you like your soup. And obviously, because I use the blender, so it's a little bit thicker, because obviously I've blended half the ingredients. So again, it's trial and error. If you find that actually it's too liquidy, use the corn flour technique that I've shown you in other videos. So you use corn flour as a thickening agent. So you would use 2 teaspoons of corn flour mixed with a little water, and then you would gradually put it in and let it reach boiling point, and it will thicken up. But please be careful using corn flour, because you could over thicken it. So just put a little bit in at a time until you get the consistency that you would like. So this is the soup all made. I will now show you how to make some croutons to go on top of the soup. So I have sliced up some bread. I've got all my herbs ready. Now you can use the pre-mixed herbs if you'd like to, or you can just use individual herbs. So basil, rosemary, sage, some garlic granules. It's entirely up to you what flavour you would like. So I've got my larger pan here. I just put the gas on a medium heat, and I'm just going to let the pan heat up, and then I'm going to put some olive oil into the pan. You can use any oil. I've just chosen to use olive oil for this section. So put the olive oil in. It's about 2 tablespoons full. It just depends on how much bread you have, what pan you're using. So I'm just going to move the oil around. You may need the oil to hand in case you need some more. So I'm going to put in some of the mixed herbs and garlic granules. I'm going to put in some extra sage. So I'm going to take a pinch of sage, and I think I'm going to add a pinch of rosemary as well. Pinch of rosemary in there. Now, just looking at this pan, I know that I'm going to need a bit more oil. So I'm just going to pour a little bit more on. You're going to have to use your own judgment on this, because it just depends on the pan and the amount of bread that you have. I've cut up 2 slices and the crust. So now I've got 2 wooden spatulas here that I've got ready. I'm going to put my bread into the pan. I've cut up into little cubes. And then I'm going to just mix gently, just toss the bread in with the oil. It will soak it up, that's why I wanted the oil to hand in case I needed a little bit more. Now at this point you can either use the spray oil, spray some on that haven't got any oil on, or you can just add a little bit more. This is going to be trial and error and you're going to have to use your own judgment. So there we are. Just spread the bread out. So as you can see, some of the bread is soaked up the oil and some of it is still just plain, but that's okay. You can either put more oil in, but I don't really want to put more oil in. I feel as though it's had enough. I'm just going to sort of toast it in the pan. Eventually it will go brown, the other bits of bread that doesn't have the oil on. So we'll leave that to sort of toast off. Again, use your own judgment. Come back, give it a few minutes on each side and then just toss it around until eventually all the sides have gone a golden colour. Now, if you find the pan's getting too hot, and it can get too hot, once the bread has soaked up all the oil, the best thing to do is to turn it really low, because we still want the heat but we don't want it to be overheated, so we turn it really low and put the pan back on. And just be patient and just let it cook slowly. You can see it's starting to go golden and we want it, all the bread to be that colour. So as you can see, I've just been really patient. It's taken about 10 minutes. You can see it's all gone golden brown and the bread's gone firm, so they're all ready. Now you can use, you can change the flavour. Obviously it's just the same process, just put whatever herbs you would like. You can use croutons on top of a soup, on salads, on top of a different meal. They're really versatile and it's an easy way to use up bread that you've got, and also to use up the crusts. The crusts always get left. I don't mind having crusts on as a toast, but obviously young kids, they tend to leave it, so you can just make croutons. So save your crusts. So here we have it, potato and leek soup with croutons. If you wanted to make the soup a bit more healthier, you can use a little bit of oil at the beginning instead of the butter. You can use single cream, you can use half fat cream, and also zero or low fat milk to make it a bit more healthier. Obviously I've just made a really rich soup using the butter and the cream. You can use less oil on your croutons and just toast them off. So there are ways of making it a bit more healthier. But here you have it, the finished product. Good luck, give it a go, and I hope it works out.